Hello, friends. This is Alia Jamal, the Heart Mentor, and we are meeting for another weekly workshop. And today's topic is, I would say, a very deep one. Today, we are talking about signs of expired relationships and red flags for the new ones. Now, this is something that has been one of the person in our community has asked me to teach about that. So it's coming as a feedback from what someone or what a lot of women they want to know whether you are um, asking this from a perspective of a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship. We do have friendships that do have a lot of red flags where we stay way longer than we were supposed to and they drain us. So you can use this information in any relationship that you want. I will be using examples from my own personal life as well. And I will be using examples in terms of new relationship, old relationship, platonic relationship, romantic relationship that I work through. And this is what I use. This is how I keep my heart open and how it feels like. So I have been on this journey for about 10 years. About 10 years ago, I was in a very, very, very deep, dark, depressive state because of a relationship. And because what I'm about to teach you, I had no idea that this wisdom even existed. So if you do find it beneficial, I highly, highly recommend please share this with at least two of your girlfriends. It can help a lot of women with understanding their emotional pain. So today we have about, I would say, 9 things we are going to talk about. So I have very extensive notes. We are going to jump right in. There is a very high chance that it will go more than 30 minutes. So first, we want to talk about um, what creates a relationship. Very really recently, I made a decision to release a relationship, and it was like this. Why it was so fast for me? Because I knew how relationship works. At least I know how they work in my life. Every relationship is based on shared values. And when I talk about values, it doesn't mean your value, your worth. It means what do you value in life? So if you have never done an exercise where you sat down and you wrote down what your values are, I had it open somewhere here. Now see if I can find it. Anyways, I think I have lost it. I wanted to share there's different kind of values. There could be spiritual values, there could be growth values, there could be foundational values, there could be um how you want to share your time values. There could be all different values. But for me, I can tell you communication is very important. If there's no open communication in a relationship, if someone is going to just pull back and disappear, that is a big no-no for me. So that is a red flag for me. But that might not be a red flag for another person. For them, that might mean, oh, the person just needs a month, a year, or 10 years to just, process whatever they want. So once you know what do you value in life in general, some people they value honesty. Now, honesty can have so many different layers to it as well. Sometimes I can see that my son is lying, but because what he's lying about is not such a big deal, so I can look past it. I'm not going to have consequences in there. So it depends what your values are, and they must match with the other person in order for the relationship to sustain long term. If those values are not matching, that relationship is not being nurtured. Relationship is like a plant. You stop watering it, it's dead. If you say, well, Alia, I have this friend from childhood, and sometime we get on the phone after 5 years and it's just like brand new. You two have very similar values. That's why. So the relationship gets nurtured when you talk after 5 years, but that 1 hour or 30 minute is energizing to the relationship. So it can live another 5 years before you two get chance to talk to each other. But if those values are not shared, even if the person comes in front of you, you're not going to um, like them or gel with them or stand there or talk to them. And I have personally have that people I was so close to. Now I can have a hello with them and I can keep moving forward. Values have shifted, values has changed. Maybe I have grown, they have grown. So I want you to keep this in front of you when you are thinking of starting a relationship, leaving a relationship, what really that decision come from, what we even call red flag, is a difference in values. It's not that there's good people out there, there's bad people out there, and all the good ones, like, are taken and you just end up with the bad ones. That is not how the world is. There are people out there. They are those you align in your values. They are those you don't align in your values, but they would align with someone else and they will be very happy with someone else. And sometimes when I hear someone talk about, like, their ex got married or they have a partner and they're so pissed and they're like, yeah, it's not gonna last pretty soon. She's going to see through him. And I'm just thinking inside of my head, and sometimes I say it out loud, just because you two didn't get along doesn't mean that was a bad person. Yes, they might have done a lot of bad things to you, but today we are going to get into how we contribute into that. So the first step is get to know your values. And if you don't know how to get there, please reach out to me. It would be a very simple session or a conversation. We can go through that. Now let's talk about red flags. Now, these red flags could be in your current relationship, it could be in a relationship you're building, or it could be you're thinking of getting into a relationship and you're like, okay, how do I even tell? So first let's talk about, a seasoned relationship. There's a problem that you both keep talking about, and most likely if it's a red flag, it's a problem that, they are bringing into the relationship, and it keeps happening, it keeps happening. You talk about it, it keeps happening, you keeps happening, and nothing changes. Now that is a chronic issue. So what happens when that chronic issue happen? We tell ourselves, we lie to ourselves, been there, done that. Oh, he will change. One day he will change. I told myself, because that's what I heard from people, when you have kids, he will change. So what do? We go have kids and now we have even more chaos. Nothing has changed. It gets worse. So if you have something that just doesn't change, now, the next one is you don't feel heard or seen. You feel like you're either walking on eggshells, or whenever you bring a situation, you're the one who's apologizing at the end. Again, been there, done that, lived it, apologized. No matter what happened, I was the one always apologizing. Now, the next one is your body reacts. And of course, you don't know why it's reacting. Either it contracts, either, like, something tightens in your chest, there's a knot in your stomach. For me personally, my muscle would be so stiff all the time. And I had no idea. So now, if you are building a relationship, pay attention to how your body feels in that person's presence. The trick is, most of us, we are here. We don't even know how our body feels. So, in order for you to be in touch with your body, it requires your presence. Be present with yourself in that moment while you're having conversation. Be present in your body and pay attention to how your body's feeling. Now, if you have never gone for therapy or have done some kind of, deeper work, and there is some big trauma in your past, especially in your childhood, it might be very difficult for you to come into your body. So if you cannot get in touch with your body. If you feel numb there, don't judge yourself or blame yourself. What's wrong with me? I can't do it. You will be able to do it. It just requires very specific kind of work to get there. Again, if you have any question, reach out to me. I can guide you through that process as well. Now, the fourth one is when you are in that relationship, are you becoming more of yourself or less of yourself? One of the things that a lot of women say when they are coming out of a very difficult, prolonged relationship, they will say, I became a shell of a human. I felt empty inside of me. I didn't even know who I am anymore. That is exactly what I'm talking about. If you, the more you meet that person and you're like, what? Who am I anymore? Like, I don't even know. You feel like you're playing a dance, a perfect dance in front of that person. That is a red flag. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that's the last point. Relationship, as I told you, it's like a plant. It's going to grow. There would be a seed, there would be a young plant, that there will be a tree, and the tree is going to get mature and it is going to have its own fruits or fragrance and flowers. As it's going through that, none of us are perfect. There would be things that we need to work through. So when you two come together and you work through something, what is the outcome? Like, is there any improvement happening? Or you come together, you work on it, and after 6 months, you're right back where you started. Like there's a vicious cycle, you're in it. So that was one of the reason I was able to see, even though I have been able to see all the red flags, still I wasn't able to leave. And so whatever I'm teaching, it's coming from real life experience as well. So if you're stuck in a relationship, you're not able to leave, even though all the red flags are there. I understand you. I get you. And we'll talk about how to come out of that. So what I was about to say, we went for therapy, we went for separate therapy, we went for couple therapy, we sat and talked for hours and hours and hours and hours. And after 2 years of doing that, I realized nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. But the trick is we lie to ourselves. So in any relationship, if you're suffering, you are lying to yourself. As soon as we accept that, we can create a lot of beautiful changes in our life. Now, what keeps us ignoring them? I got into it naturally. It's lack of self-trust. I had, I think, minus 1,000 trust. I didn't trust myself at all when it came to relationship. Did I trust myself in my career? Oh, 100%. Does that sound familiar for most of the women in living today's world? Very close to that. Very close to that. We are very high achiever in our workplace, and when it comes to personal relationship, we feel lost or a very specific age shows up. For me, it was like, that 5 to 7 years old who will show up and she felt like she didn't know anything. Now, looking for validation. When we need validation, when we need someone else's energy. Now, I'm putting it in very plain terms. That's how I do the hard work. I give it to you in very plain words so you can look for it instead of giving you fancy psychological behavior terms. When you are in a relationship, what do you need from that person? If you can say anything after that, that is codependency. If you say, "Oh, I need money from him, I need love from him, I need protection from him, I need praise from him," that, my friend, you need energy. That is not going to be a balanced relationship to work to begin with. When we need something from someone, we stay there, even if it's not good for us. Because what is the underlying belief? I cannot give it to myself. So, what I was getting in that relationship, the huge validation was the social status. You're a married person with a kid. From the outside, that looks like a perfect dream life. And letting go of that and letting people see that all that was just for show and underneath, like, it was never working, that was devastating. And that's why from the moment I knew, from the moment it happened, it was 6 years. So I stayed in that, I will say, pressure cooker for 6 years. So that is why I became who I am today. Now, the next one is how to listen to your own body even when you're afraid what it's telling you. So that is another reason we stay in the expired relationships. These are the signs, like your body's telling you something and you still stay. But how can you listen to your body even in that moment when you're afraid of listening to it? So first thing is we always know that we lie to ourselves, that we justify, and then we don't have enough evidence. We don't have enough reason yet. So we stay. We need to build our case before we can come out to the world or to our family and say, this is over. But when you are present in your body and when you're connected with your body, you know. So how you can do something in that moment is first, just let yourself stop lying to yourself. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to make any big decisions. Your body knows, and all you have to do is start accepting that this is what the truth is. It took me forever, my friend, to get to that place and a lot of difficult moments. Um, but that is what keeps us stuck. We keep lying to ourselves. We keep telling ourselves, if I pray hard enough, it will work out. But in truth, it's not our place to even be anymore. It's an expired relationship. Your body's saying no. But we keep saying yes because, you know, it's giving us something. And we are stuck in that. So in that stage, I'll say, be honest enough to let yourself feel it's expired. Now, I've been giving example up until now about a romantic relationship, my previous marriage, right? Now, let's look at the same thing if it's a friendship. Now, there are some friendships that entering, they might be temporary. Let's say you got like, relocated to a different location for a year, you're making friendships there, and you know that after a year you're going to leave. You might or might not be in touch with those people. So that is going to be a very different relationship. Leaving that relationship is going to be much easier because walking in there, you know that you cannot depend on taking energy from them. But then you might have some friendships that are in your hometown and you talk like, on regular basis and you do know that this person is not going anywhere. So letting that person go is going to be very different kind of work. So keeping in mind, even if your body is telling you this friend is not good for you, it's a very easy for you to not listen to that voice or act on that voice because you need energy from that person. So in that moment, if you can just admit to yourself, yes, that's what it is. You don't have to post it on social media. You don't have to announce it to your friend. You don't have to tell it to anybody. Our life experience is our internal experience. We think happen outside of us and they impact how we feel. It's what we choose within us impacts what happens outside of us. It's the other way around when you start paying attention to it. So if you allow yourself to be honest to feel within you, you will see that it will be easier to manage those relationships. It will be easier to let go of an expired relationship. Now, how to trust your own discernment. when you have betrayed yourself for so many times, when you have abused yourself for so many times. So the way discernment works, it never goes away. It's not that, one day discernment said, okay, you're not listening to me, I'm moving out of here. That's not how it works. What actually happens? We have our discernment where we know what is good for us, even when you're a little kid, and that is the voice of your soul. And then we have the wound. Wound needs validation, it needs to be seen, it needs to be heard, it needs to stay in a familiar environment, it needs to be in familiar toxic environment to have a specific unbalanced nervous system. So it starts talking. It starts talking so loud. It's like, oh, you're being too picky. Oh, you're being such a hard woman. Oh, no one is going to stay with you if you do this. Oh, you need to be the home builder. That is something I heard so much. You're not being a home builder. You're not a good woman. You're this, you're that. You're breaking a home, like, talk, 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 talk. So what happens, this discernment is always going to be a silent nudge, a quiet voice. So when we start listening to our wound, it gets so loud that it overpowers your discernment. All you have to do is start listening to this voice once again, and you don't have to go and make big decisions or, like, walk out on your partner right now. You don't have to do any of that. It's small, it starts small. Maybe um, look in your closet and you might feel a specific piece of clothing. You don't like it anymore, but you're just holding on to it for whatever reason. Maybe you got it on sale or it's your favorite color, but it doesn't look good on you. You don't like it when you wear it. Let it go. See what you did? Something within you said, I don't like it. And you let yourself have that. And then it could be that, a friend is calling and you don't feel like talking right now. Maybe you had a long day, you're in the middle of something, and you just let it go to voice message and you didn't respond. Maybe later on, whenever you're ready, you'll do it. See what happened, that again, something within you said something and you listened to it. Maybe someone invited you to, a get together or a dinner party, and you said, doesn't really feel like it. And you actually said no. Now bring those same things to if you're building a new relationship. When you're building a new relationship, if you're paying attention to what's going on within you and you're moving from that, you're going to build that trust within you to begin with. Now, in terms of a new relationship, we are also going to talk about fear in a bit because that can be a whole new level of confusion. But if you are in an expired relationship and you're like, how do I even know to let it go? Well, how do you feel in your body when you're around that person? Do you feel that you are in that relationship, or they are just running the relationship on their own and you're not heard or seen, or nothing is moving and you have to shrink? If those are the signs that are present, my friend, that is a sign of an expired relationship. Now, if it's a marriage where you have kids involved, you might end up staying till whenever you feel stable enough to do it, or you might never leave it. And we'll talk about why we will never leave it, because it just feels familiar and your nervous system is attached to that kind of environment and you have not repaired your relationship with yourself. So there's so many layers to it, why we get stuck in a cycle, which we'll talk about in a moment. The most important thing right now is start telling yourself the truth. Because the biggest thing that happens with red flags or, like, all these things, we turn against ourselves. We start to doubt ourselves. If you're doubting yourself, I can already tell you you're not in a healthy relationship, whether it's a new one, whether it's an old one. If you start turning against yourself, something is off, something is misaligned. I will say before you make a big decision, talk to a professional. You can always reach out to me, but have a conversation with someone because something is misaligned within you. Now, getting into breaking the cycle of overstaying and why it keeps repeating. Now, this, my friend, is gold. Once you understand that, once I understood this thing about me, I made it my life mission to heal this within me. The first thing is familiarity. We stay in a relationship not because it's good or bad, it's familiar. That's how you were treated when you were little. You had to do specific things to earn love, to get love, and now you're doing the exact same thing in this relationship. And when you when you are in something that you know, oh, I know how this works. I know how this goes. I know how this person is going to respond and how to handle it because it's familiar, you stay in a cycle. You stay in the familiar, you stay in the known. Because what happens, we feel like, that's love. We feel like that is how love is supposed to be. That is how it should be. But the most interesting thing is it can take you a lifetime in a human body to truly discover what love is. It can take you a whole lifetime. But most of us, we are not even looking for what love is. We just need love from other people. And that is a very different energy. So um whenever you recognize that you are in a familiar environment, now, how would that happen? That would only happen when you have done some inner work, when this is the kind of work I do with my clients when they know that, this was familiar, that is how mom behaved, that is how dad behaved. And now, as an adult, when they step into this specific behavior, that is when the age is controlling them, wound is controlling them, and it's not them controlling themselves anymore. So when they step into that behavior, we pause and we ask ourselves that is it familiar or is it love? And again, it takes much deeper work to discover what love means to you. Is the environment you're in is familiar or this is what love is? And again, if you have not done the deeper work of discovering what love is for you, you wouldn't even know what love is. And then asking yourself, is it home or is it a place I've been living for such a long time? And again, these questions don't just come to the surface. These answers are not just gonna, like your body's not just gonna hand you these answers. First, we do deeper work to really heal those parts of us where we can come out of the cycle of overstaying, where we can say no right away when we see something. And in my journey or the deeper work I have done in the past 6 years, I literally have few steps in my mind. When something comes in my environment, I ask 3 to 4 questions and there is a decision. It doesn't matter it was a relationship that started yesterday or that started 3 years ago or that started 20 years ago or that started 40 years ago. I have been able to come out of relationships that were as old as me. Just with these few questions. Did it hurt? Of course it hurt. Was it stepping into unfamiliar? Of course it was stepping into something I've never known. I had no idea what my life will become. And that is where our loyalty comes to ourselves. And that is where we give ourselves chance to experience something so different in our life. So as if you're willing to give yourself an experience where you step into the unfamiliar, or you're curious enough to know how else my body can feel like around someone, then you're ready to be the cycle breaker for your own self. We all go through this. Some people, they go through one romantic relationship after the other. So in 5 years, they have had five relationships. Sometime it shows up there. For some people, they have a one steady marriage. It's going good. It's okay. But then it happens in their friendships. People come, they leave them, they abandon them, they do this, they do that. So if you find it anywhere in your relationships, the work will be the same. It's not going to be different. Now, let's talk about, we are switching into new relationship category, red flags versus growth edge. This, my friends, especially when you're coming out of a abusive, toxic, prolonged relationship where your nervous system is scrambled like a very delicious scrambled egg. When your nervous system is in that space, it is a very difficult to discern, is this a red flag or is it a growth edge? A growth edge can show up as extreme fear. And if you don't know the difference, if it's a red flag or it's really my fear, because part of me doesn't want to grow into the unknown. If you don't know, a lot of people, they let go of things before they even start. And a lot of people, they either leave too early or they either stay in a bad situation because they're like, oh, maybe we are going through a growth spurt. And then after 10 years, they're still going through a growth spurt. So that is what I realized. In the beginning, I thought our relationship was going through a transformation. And then I was like, okay, it's been 5 years of transformation. Nothing is happening here. So I was stuck in the same thing. So let's talk about what is the difference in a growth edge. Now, a growth edge is going to feel uncomfortable. It feels so uncomfortable. And I'm smiling because right now, as we speak, I'm in the midst of another growth edge in my own personal relationship. So it feels uncomfortable, but it makes you become more present, more vulnerable, more honest, more authentic, a willingness to be seen more, to receive more. It is stretching you. And the stretch isn't familiar, so your whole body feels uncomfortable. And if you don't, again, you don't know the difference, you'll be like, well, if my body's giving me a signal, there must be something wrong with me. I'm out of here. What it does, a growth edge, it challenges you so you can become more of yourself and you come back to more of yourself. And I can tell you that in the past 1.5 year, almost 2 years that I've been in my current relationship, I have grown massively. Like my internal landscape is so different that if I look back to who I was last year around this time, I don't recognize that person. It is so big just being in this relationship. And none of that has been like, easier piece of cake, but that is what a healthy relationship does. But at the same time, if you have not been in a healthy relationship, you don't even know. So we don't even give ourselves chance to be in a healthy relationship, especially for those of us who are coming from, like, we don't have any example of a healthy relationship. Now let's talk about red flag. It's uncomfortable. It makes you become less verbal or less visible or less opinionated, and you feel like you need to let go of parts of you just to fit in, just to keep the peace. So it also challenges you, but it challenges you to become less of yourself. So one is adding to you, and the other one is taking away from you. So now let's say you're in a new relationship and you're being stretched a little bit. Maybe the person is asking you to, like, go on an adventurous date, and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not a adrenaline junkie. I don't know if it's aligned or not. Let yourself go Give yourself the experience, and when the experience ends, ask yourself, did it stretch me? Because one of the biggest thing that happened when we are starting a relationship, we're coming with a whole blacklist with us. And we are looking at everybody with, like, a red pen in our hand. Like, oh, I see that black dot. Okay, check mark, red. No, not going there, not going there. What it requires to build a relationship, especially a healthy one, is putting down everything, being open and curious, and ready to learn who you are when you are in a very different environment than you're used to. What's the worst will happen? 6 months in, you realize, okay, this is not according to my values. Then you can make a decision to let go. But not when, you're just starting and it's squeezing you and stretching you. Now, the pattern that keeps attracting the wrong person, like, that was one of the things we are going to talk about, that there is a very specific pattern within us that keeps attracting the wrong person. And healing that is what really heals all of our relationships. And also, I was not given this by my mentor, but I'll give you the fine print. Healing that, there is a very big chance you might lose all your relationships. I have personally been through where I lost every single relationship except my son. I don't think so. He has a choice yet at 12-year-old to make that decision. But that is what it requires. So, um, one of the things I want to start this section with, if you really want to heal those patterns, I would highly recommend joining my 1-year program. That is what we do in there. That is much deeper work. But I will give you I will say the three highlight version of it, what's actually going on inside of you. Now, if you look at every single relationship, let's say you have had 10, let's say you have had 20, or whether it is about your um, romantic relationship or it's friendships, you keep making friends who turn on you, or they, ditch you, abandon you, and they make friends with other people, and you're the last one just standing there and you have no idea what happened to you. So you can use it in any way. There are three things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the type we are attracted to, the wound within us, and the unmet relationship needs that we have within ourselves. So first, no matter what the relationship is, what is one thing common? You. And now we are not using that to blame you. We are using that to, oh my God, the change needs to be within me. If I want my relationships to change, that change needs to happen within me. And my friend, I have walked through this path and I continue walking on this path. And the work is stop taking energy from other people. I'm the youngest in 6 siblings. So you can imagine being the youngest, how much I depended on others' energy. There was a time I couldn't even decide what to wear myself. I wouldn't even know, like, how to talk and what to do. Everything was being dictated to me, or like, I was basically controlled in many areas from a very young age. So getting to a point where I can walk very tall on my own without needing other people's energy required much deeper work. Your might not be that deep, but that is what I needed. So first look at the type. When you say, oh, I'm attracted to this type, I'm talking about now um, from a romantic relationship only. And then you can see, like, how it gels with the platonic relationship in your life. So think about the physical, the energetical aspect of that person, or the personality type they have. It could be the charming one, the caring one, the one who needs you to save them. And we think it's chemistry. We think, like, it's chemistry and, we are together and that's how it feels. It's so amazing. We always have fun. My friend, that's familiarity. most likely you have had that kind of experience outside of that relationship as well. So, what we call chemistry is a lot of time just familiarity, if we are willing to be honest with ourselves. Now, the next one is the wound. The wound that gets created before we had the, I would say, the cognitive ability to make a decision, which is, in a very, very young years. That leads to our definition of love. Remember in the beginning, I talked about the definition of love. So, what is your definition of love? That is going to decide what kind of cyclic, unhealthy people you're going to keep inviting in your life. And it is unique for everyone. It's not same for every person. It's unique for every person. Maybe you needed to be a savior. Maybe you needed to be needed. Maybe you needed to be a peacekeeper. Maybe managing your mom's emotions earned you love. Maybe being a good girl was the only way you got allowance. For me, it was being a good student is the only way I earned love. Every time I did that, I got a lot of recognition and praise. So no wonder as an adult, my career was way developed, while my personal life or my personal relationships, they were, you know, suffering. We needed to do a lot of work there. So ask yourself what love means for you. And it's very important you ask yourself that. And also remember, whatever wound exists within you, that is what attracts. It will attract the emotionally unavailable people. It will attract people who would withhold love from you. You need to prove yourself. You need to show them that you're worthy. And you might feel like you're fighting for their attention. They're always busy. They can do other activities, but they cannot set up the next date with you. Um, you might find yourself that you're walking on eggshells. You don't want to be a difficult girl. You don't want to make them feel that you're high maintenance. So you're walking on eggshells, playing low. You don't want to, ruffle the feathers. You're being very hyper vigilant on their behalf sometime, and that translates as caring. You're watching everything that is going around them. You're maybe even have memorized their schedule so they can feel that you're very caring towards them. And at the bottom of it, it might be that you just want to feel needed. If you want to feel needed, my friend, you're never going to attract a healthy relationship. Even a healthy relationship is going to end up being where you're needed in the relationship and they are the one taking all the energy and you feel empty. So it's the type we are attracted to, the chemistry that we think we have, and the wound. And the third one is the unmet relationship you have with yourself. That is my favorite because that is the deep work we do in my year-long container. Now, this is going to sting really bad if you've been dating for a very long time and you don't have a healthy relationship. We attract what we unconsciously believe we deserve. You could be the most beautiful, most attracted, most, I would say, aesthetically pleasant, well-dressed, well-established woman of your area or era or in the world. But if you believe deep down within yourself, that belief comes from your wound. I cannot have a healthy relationship. My friend, that is what's going to happen. And I have seen, I have interacted with some very, very, very beautiful women, single, happy, amazing, established. And this is the pattern that's keeping them small. And the most interesting thing is they're the hardest to convince to work on that. Because a person who is maybe not, that up in the world, they might think that, oh, I need to do something, there's something wrong with me. When the world is giving us a feedback, oh, you're perfect, you're gorgeous, you're amazing. Of course, you're going to find someone. When we're getting that feedback, it's very rare that we look within. And I have had some, conversations with potential people who wanted to work with me when I came to this truth with them, who were extremely beautiful. They rejected me right away and they didn't want it to do that work. And from what I know, um, or what I have seen, they're still out there looking. And every time I see that, I'm like, only if she can see what's within her. Now, I can see that one, I do this work, and the second, I work with energy. So there's so much that I can see, and I guide my clients through that, and then I eventually teach them how to see that within them too. But that is the false narrative that your friends are giving you and everybody's giving you, and we get stuck in that. My friend, let go of your outer. Go within you. Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what do I unconsciously believe I deserve? Sit with that question for a month. Every single day, sit with that question for a month. Or you can also come to me and I can help you uncover that. When you will sit with that question, you will find the answer within that. And this is exactly the work that I ended up doing too. On the surface, I was doing everything, mindset is there, the effort is there, but deep down, I did not believe I could have something healthy. And that was a very honest, full of tear moment. And of course, I needed, guidance of other people to come out of that, because when you're stuck in that unconscious place, you don't know how to get out of it. Because that is the trap that we all live in. We live in the trap of our wound, that I cannot have a healthy relationship. So what it requires is um, healing your nervous system to a level where it feels safe to be loved. I'm going to say it again. Healing your nervous system to a level where it feels safe to be loved. You might think you have very loving parents, you have very loving family, and then why you have such a hard time finding love. Again, friend, this is going to sting so bad. If you come to me, I can show you how that love in your family and in your siblings is not what love really is. Most of the love that we receive is very conditional. They would love you only up until. Again, I personally walked through that path. I got to up until, and the love dropped. And that was a very eye-opening moment to understand what love really is, what heart really is, what open heart really means. So even though we don't like to hear stuff like what I'm saying, but this is exactly the words we need to hear before we can start creating real shifts. Now, what it's going to require is, of course, your own definition of love, to really let go of, like, these unhealthy people out of you, or stop attracting all those unavailable people. Come up with your own definition of love, and then going through a process where you can rewrite your nervous system at a cellular level, where it starts to feel healthy to receive love. And that is where I help you repair your relationship with yourself. When you start giving yourself your own love, my friend, nothing can heal you like that. You could have the most loving mom and dad, but when you fall in love with yourself unconditionally, you create a very different version of yourself. a very different version of yourself. Now, a little bit note about the unmet relationship with ourselves. When we look at the chemistry and then, we keep attracting these unhealthy people in our life, we have, thanks to, you know, I would say Hollywood, and I come from a Bollywood background, and all the movies that are out there or the shows that are out there, what we are shown as love is not love. That is chemistry, my friend. When you do come face to face with your soulmate, there are no fireworks. There's no like excitement happening within you. There's no like, you're just beaming with joy. There's none of that. It feels boring. It feels unfamiliar. Your body will say, I want to run away. But how do you know? There will be a very, 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 very deep calm within you that will say, stay. Again, that is your discernment. That is the voice of your soul. If you're not used to listening to that, what's going to happen? You're going to run. So when we want to, the last 2 points left, when we want to begin again from clarity instead of confusion, that is when we want to start from inside of us. We want to start from inside of us. How do I feel in this person's presence? What part of me is expanding right now? What part of me is contracting right now? What part of me is screaming right now? Is it my wound? Is it my soul? That is how you can decide where you're going to go, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's an old relationship. Because in a new relationship, your fear is good. Sorry. I have another call starting in 5 minutes, and that popped up, and that startled me. So that is what's going to decide that what is going to happen. Let me just close it. That is going to decide, you know, what where you're going to go. And I can very quickly share with you that I come from a very prolonged 18 years of extremely unhealthy relationship. But at the same time, I had no idea what a healthy relationship is. So I had nothing to look forward to. Like I had no idea. So work with my mentors, created like, this feeling within me. I live with that feeling. And then the day I was going to meet with my husband for the first time, who's other part of my soul, I knew before I even met him, I knew in meditation that today I'm going to meet with my husband. But when I got there, fear spoke so loud that it was a miracle that I was still able to go inside and talk with him. Fear was so loud, but why it didn't stop me? Because I knew exactly what it is. And once you learn where the voice is fear and where the voice is your soul talking, it can make a huge difference how you experience relationships. And the work has not ended. I continue to expand to receive. Till this day, we've been together almost 2 years. Till this day, I'm still expanding to receive. My old patterns come up where I want only this much. He's bringing the whole world to me, and I am continuously expanding and growing and being challenged. So if you are looking for a soulmate relationship, just to let you know, it's not a walk in the park. It's real work. It's going to stretch you. It's going to demand a lot of presence and energy from you to stay engaged. So with that, we are concluding our very, very, very long discussion today about relationships, how to see that those red flags and how to give ourselves permission to experience something healthy and something beautiful. Now, if this is the work you're ready to do, my friend, you can go to my website, aliajamalcoaching.com, and you can book a consultation. I highly, highly, highly recommend work on your relationship with yourself first, and you will see how it will transform every single relationship within you, around you. And that is when you truly get to experience love. And that is my prayer and my desire for all of you. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.